Coming up next, the story of an immensely talented yet unsettled vocalist who had a fleeting moment of fame in 1990 with a massive hit single, a stunning remake of a song written by one of the true musical geniuses of our time. However, her encounter with this eccentric artist who was behind the original version turned into something straight out of the Twilight Zone. You got to hear this. Despite the incredible success of the remake, though, which could have solidified her as one of the greatest vocalists ever, she chose to steer clear of commercial prosperity. She preferred to be a protest singer, not a pop star. Instead of concentrating solely on the merit of her music, the remainder of her career was largely mired in controversy, unfortunately. To tell of her remarkable Hailey's Comet, this spiraled into an emotional tempest for one of the most enigmatic artists of the rock era. Coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you ever put Elmer's glue all over your hand, then you let it dry and pretended that you were peeling off your skin, you're going to love this channel of deep musical nostalgia. How many of you guys did that? Make sure to subscribe below right now to get the latest interviews and song stories. Click the bell so you always know when our stuff's coming out. Also, check us out on Patreon for even more content that helps us to keep it a daily channel. You can become an honorary producer to help us curate this history. So, our story today begins in 1984. The artist, known as Prince, had just returned to his home in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, from a trip to Dallas to see the Victory Tour by the Jacksons. Now, as soon as he got home, he scurried to his bedroom to write some lyrics to a song that was forming in his head. In short order, he rushed to Paisley Park, of course, his private recording studio. He summoned his engineer, Susan Rogers, and in just a few hours, they recorded a beautiful track that Prince called Nothing Compares to You, number 2. Prince playing every instrument, of course. Nothing compares to you. Now, there are two theories about the source of Prince's inspiration for writing Nothing Compares to You, but both clearly found him in a somber mood. Susan Rogers believed that Prince was really overcome with grief when his housekeeper, Sandy Scipione, had to quit working for him when her father died of a sudden heart attack. Now, Prince was very fond of his housekeeper. She kept his home in order, cooking, cleaning, and pampering him, kind of like a mother. Now, Prince's friend Jerome Benton, who was a member of Morris Day in the time, claims that Prince wrote the song to help him get over his breakup with his fiancée. So two different stories there. Song was clearly not something that Prince wanted to release on his own. It was very personal. He decided to give the track to The Family. It's a duo that he helped assemble that was signed to his record label. Now, The Family featured Paul Peterson, the former keyboardist and backup singer for the time, and Prince's then girlfriend, Susanna Melvoin. Prince took out his vocal on the music track, added some overdubs, and handed it over to The Family to record with Paul singing the lead vocal and Susanna backing him up. Paul shared that he was asked to sing the song in the style of Prince, and he really did sound a lot like Prince. You listen. To capture the right emotion for his vocal, he thought about a girl named Julie who had broken his heart back in high school. Boy, you better try to have fun no matter what you do. The one and only album by The Family in '85 that included Nothing Compares to You as an album cut bombed, and the duo went away like that. Poof, in the wind. But there was a happy side note to The Family's recording of Nothing Compares to You. Paul Peterson eventually married Julie, the girl that devastated him in high school, and they have 2 children together, the one that he thought of when he was singing the song. So pretty cool. Nothing compares to you. 4 years later in 1989, Faulkner Ocala, who managed the emerging Sinead O'Connor, was looking for material for Sinead's all-important sophomore release after her very successful debut LP, The Lion and the Cobra. It's been 7 hours and 50 days. Nothing Compares to You was never released as a single, and it seemed destined for obscurity until Faulkner somehow remembered it and suggested that Sinead should reimagine a version for her upcoming album. Of course, the album was called I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got. Sinead was instantly captivated by this track. How could she not be? She could actually relate to the sense of loss that the song conveyed. Sinead and Faulkner were not just artist and manager, they were also lovers. But by the time she went into the studio to record tracks for her second album, their personal and their professional relationship was over. In fact, Chris Burkett would say they were in the process of breaking up when we recorded Nothing Compares to You. Chris co-produced and engineered the song. Prince's lovelorn lyrics mirrored Sinead's own emotional state. Even though she had the freedom to do whatever she wanted and see whomever she chose, nothing could quite compare to him, how she felt. The vocal that Sinead delivered was incredible. It's probably because she felt such internal purpose in the lyrics. Sinead did the vocal in one take, double-tracked it, that was it.
I could see whomever I choose.
The song was really perfect because of Sinead's authenticity. She just opened up and let her feelings just fall out without hiding anything. Collaborating with Japanese jazz virtuoso Gode Yashiki and soul-to-soul producer Nellie Hooper, she stripped away all the ornate R&B flourishes of Prince's version, reducing the song to its bare essentials. The arrangement is intentionally simple. Drum loop, some delicate strings, and a haunting choir of backing vocals. These elements ebb and flow with the power of her voice, like sand being shifted by the tide as she navigates through various stages of desolation. As the song builds, so does Sinead's defiance. Since you've been gone, I can do whatever I want, but her bravado soon crumbles into anguish as she realizes that nothing will take away these blues.
Nothing can take away this blue.
By the time Sinead strikes the chorus, she's confronting her grief head on. Her voice reaches for strength but cracks under the weight of the emotion. In another departure from Prince's original melody, she alters the pitch of the final "To You" to a disheartened monotone, using the dissonance to underscore her pain. Chris Hill, co-director of O'Connor's label Enzyme, he vividly remembered the first time he heard Sinead's version, and he reflected on it in an interview he did with Mojo Magazine in January of 2009. Here's what Chris had to say. He said, Steve Fargnoli, who was Sinead's new manager, he brought in a cassette, and when I listened to it, I actually started crying. I just sat there with tears in my eyes. And Chris and Steve phoned Sinead, and when she heard that Chris was crying, his emotional response worried her. Was it that bad, Sinead asked? Now, the music video for Nothing Compares to You, that was directed by John Mayberry. Initially, John captured extensive footage around Paris to be used for the video, but he ultimately opted for a straightforward close-up shot of Sinead O'Connor. It was a very perceptive decision indeed. Sinead conveys a range of emotions. Transitioning from sadness to anger. Yeah, she sings the lyrics that would not have been captured in any other format, really. It's one of the most vulnerable performances of its time. From the start of the video, O'Connor gazes directly at us, her pale green eyes searching for a connection. As she sings, she occasionally breaks eye contact, looking down as if struggling to contain her emotions. In the iconic ending, though, 2 tears roll down her cheeks. It's one of the most powerful, heart-wrenching scenes from a music video that I've ever seen. Sinead imparted that she learned to channel her emotions using the bel canto singing style, which she likened to extreme acting techniques. But those tears in the video were genuine. That's why the scene is so gripping. Sinead disclosed that the reason she shed those tears is because she was thinking about her mother. Her mother died in a car crash in 1986 when she was only 19. Their relationship had been difficult, with Sinead later accusing her mother of mental and physical abuse. All that grief and frustration came rushing back when Sinead sang Prince's final verse.
Nothing compares to you.
Yes. Sadly, Sinead was another victim of a broken home and an abusive parent. She never recovered from the trauma of her youth and carried those wounds with her for the rest of her life, unfortunately. Her parents divorced when she was 9, leading to her splitting time between her father, who initially had custody, and her mother. Actually, Sinead recalls pretending to have lost her field hockey stick when she came home for the summer, and that was to avoid being beaten with it by her mother. The authenticity of Sinead's vocal and the striking imagery of the music video made Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor the very definition of an international smash. It topped the music charts everywhere it was released. In Sinead's native Ireland, it surged to the #1 spot on the Irish pop chart within 2 weeks, reigning for 6 consecutive weeks. In the United States, it dominated the Billboard Hot 100 for 4 weeks, and it also claimed the #1 position on the Billboard Alternative Songs chart. Now, as we continue to break down this classic song, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Get up to 80% off regular retail prices by clicking on our info button right up here with a plethora of frames to choose from. Zenni's the only way to go. So as Nothing Compares to You began to rule the airwaves, many people hadn't seen or heard of Sinead O'Connor. The music video was their initial glimpse of what she looked like, and they were taken aback to see that she was bald, right? After her label executive recommended she adopt a more feminine look by wearing skirts and jewelry, she rebelled and she opted to shave her head, aiming, as she said, to resemble a boy. Although this decision was a spur-of-the-moment act of teenage defiance during the making of her debut album, she continued to maintain a shaved head for the majority of her life. Since Nothing Compares to You was such a huge pop smash, it was also the first song that many in the mass audience had heard by Sinead. Not only just the music video, but the first song they'd heard. Now, as fame began to surround her, Sinead foreshadowed a career laced in controversy when she received a Grammy nomination for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance and graced the stage at the 31st Annual Grammy Awards, where she performed Mandinka. In a bold statement, she painted the logo of the hip-hop group Public Enemy on her head to protest the decision to present the first ever Best Rap Performance Award off-screen instead of announcing it during the program, like other categories. It's interesting because commercial success really repelled Sinead, which is hard to understand if you're an artist that signed a record deal. I mean, it kind of feels rather self-righteous, I suppose, but I guess what Sinead wanted was some balance between art and commerce, instead of everything being dependent on the almighty dollar. Sinead recounted that she was actually seated on a toilet when she received the news that both Nothing Compares to You and I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got had reached #1 in America on the singles and album charts, respectively. Reflecting on that exact moment, she stated, and I quote, "Whoever informed me grew frustrated when I didn't react joyfully. Instead, I wept like a child at the gates of hell." End of quote. Nothing Compares to You actually won Sinead O'Connor a Grammy for Best Alternative Performance, with additional nominations in categories including Record of the Year, Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, and Best Short Form Music Video. However, in keeping with her loathing of the Grammys, she declined the award and refused to attend the ceremony as a protest against the materialistic value she perceived in the music industry. Sinead felt that the recognition was primarily based on commercial success rather than artistic merit, and she chose not to participate in what she viewed as a celebration of sales figures rather than genuine artistry. If you think about it, after the massive success of Nothing Compares to You, Sinead O'Connor really chose to be a one-hit wonder. Seriously, she chose to be a one-hit wonder. She could have been one of the biggest female vocalists of all time. She just didn't want the spotlight for commercial reasons. So riding the wave of fascination with Nothing Compares to You, Sinead was booked to appear on Saturday Night Live on October 3rd, 1992, a date that has gone down as one of the most infamous in the history of SNL, for sure. During her live performance, Sinead staged a protest against the Catholic Church. After performing an a cappella rendition of Bob Marley's War with modified lyrics addressing child abuse, she tore up a photograph of Pope John Paul II from her mother's bedroom wall, declaring, "Fight the real enemy," and then threw the pieces to the floor. Now, according to Lorne Michaels and the other SNL producers, Sinead tricked the crew during rehearsals by directing them to focus on a photo of a Brazilian child and then switch the photo of the Pope when she did the actual, live performance.
Fight the real enemy.
Sinead's protest sparked thousands of complaints from viewers and drew criticism from various institutions and celebrities, including the Anti-Defamation League, the National Ethnic Coalition of Organizations, Joe Pesci, Frank Sinatra, and Madonna even got in on it. O'Connor faced further backlash when she was booed at the 30th anniversary tribute concert for Bob Dylan at Madison Square Garden in New York City 2 weeks later. Despite the controversy, though, O'Connor expressed in Rememberings, her 2021 memoir, that she had no regrets about the protest. She emphasized her commitment to being a protest singer rather than pursuing traditional pop stardom. Time magazine later recognized Sinead as the most influential woman of 1992 for her bold activism.
Children, children.
Also in Sinead's 2021 memoir, she revealed the bizarre details of what happened when she finally spent time with Prince, the author of her worldwide phenomenon, Nothing Compares to You. Apparently, Prince contacted her, and he mispronounced her name as Sinead O'Connor, and invited her to his residence in LA. Arrangements were made for transportation, marking their first encounter in many years. Upon arrival, the atmosphere was uncomfortable and very eerie. They engaged in conversation in the kitchen where Prince criticized her use of profanity in interviews. Unfazed, she asserted her independence, stating, "I don't work for you. If you don't like it, you can go to hell." Although her choice of expletive was much more vulgar than the one I just used because I can't say it on here. Sinead's assertion led to his Purple Majesty storming off. But it keeps getting weirder. Later in the dining room, Prince attempted to serve her soup, becoming confrontational when she declined it. The situation escalated when Prince, armed with a pillow containing a heavy object, initiated a pillow fight. Of course. Feeling threatened, Sinead fled the house into the night, eventually finding refuge in a nearby residence after a frantic chase. She concluded the ordeal in her book with the declaration, "I never want to see that devil again." Wow, you cannot make this stuff up. In 1993, Prince included a live rendition of Nothing Compares to You featuring Rosie Gaines on guest vocals on his compilation album, The Hits, The B-Sides. That rendition peaked at the number 7 on the US Bubbling Under Hot 100 chart, so under the Hot 100. That happened in 93. Nothing compared to you. Additionally, Prince's original solo recording of the song was not released until 2018, when his estate unveiled it from the vault of previously unavailable material. Sinead's follow-up to Nothing Compares to You was the lively track The Emperor's New Clothes. Great song, but it achieved only moderate success, peaking at number 60 on the Billboard Hot 100 in July 1990. Now, as the public spotlight intensified, Sinead shifted her focus towards speaking out against oppression rather than promoting singles.
What's going on?
And Sinead got her wish. Her commercial appeal dramatically plummeted from that point forward. But she continued to write and record music. Now, between her debut in 1987 and 2014, Sinead released 10 studio albums. Unfortunately, the demons in her personal life gave her no reprieve. On an episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show that aired on October 4th, 2007, Sinead bravely revealed that she had attempted to take her own life on her 33rd birthday, actually, December 8th, 1999, and had subsequently been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. On January 7th, 2022, Sinead's son Shane did take his life. He was only 17. Just 7 months later, on July 26, 2023, Sinead was discovered unresponsive at her residence in South London, and she was pronounced dead at 56 years of age. The Metropolitan Police announced the next day that her death was not deemed suspicious, but a post-mortem examination will be carried out. On January 9, 2024, the London Inner Southwark Coroner's Court confirmed, based on the autopsy report released after 5 months, that O'Connor passed away from natural causes.
I never thought I'd come to this.
Prince was only a year older when he shockingly died in 2016, if you think about it. Following his death, his engineer Susan Rogers mentioned in an interview with Guardian magazine that despite its enormous global success, Prince was actually not a fan of Sinead's cover at all. However, this wasn't really a critique specific to Sinead. Apparently, Prince generally disliked others recording his songs, unless he personally invited them to do so. Even though Prince composed Nothing Compares to You, the song, it belongs to Sinead O'Connor. It does. The remarkable intimacy and conviction that she poured into that song is a monumental performance in music history, no doubt about it. The music video for Nothing Compares to You is also one of the most unforgettable of the MTV era for sure. Sinead's poignant gaze pierces through to your core as she introspects on the song's theme of lost love. The song's crescendo, almost as if scripted, tears stream down her cheeks. There's no pretense there. Singing about her mother's triggered genuine emotions, leading to a raw and heartfelt moment for sure. That's the moment that I want to remember about Sinead O'Connor. Not the controversial performance on SNL or her protests on the Grammy Awards.
Like a bird without a song.
I mean, underneath all of the bitterness and contempt, Sinead had a compassionate soul that was battered and bruised from the emotional abuse she experienced in her childhood and from the pain brought on by her accelerating bout with mental illness. Sinead may have tried to renounce her fame, but she knew that Nothing Compares to You was a gift for millions of people who, like her, were smitten by the magnitude of the song. When asked why Nothing Compares to You was so impactful around the world, Sinead responded with really insightful honesty. She said, I think I'm probably just like millions of people who love the song. We're all people who associated the song with some kind of loss. As far as she was concerned, it was her song to sing.
Nothing compares to you.
Thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Sinead O'Connor and Nothing Compares to You. What are your memories of the song? What are your memories of her incredible singer-songwriter? And we should pay tribute to her. Let's have a great discussion below about this song, about the music video. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.